Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Unity 3D tutorial. In this one, I'll be teaching you guys how to create NavMesh obstacles, which are pretty much a way to actually create a moving non-static object. And when it's moving, it actually updates in real time for where the AI is actually moving. So it can actually calculate, where that object is, where the collision is, and find a path around that object. For static objects like these, we bake it in. So if we tried, moving around one of these objects at a later time, it would, I believe, still keep that collision area there without updating it at all. So that's the good thing about having non-static objects with a NavMesh obstacle, is that if it's a moving object and you want your AI to avoid it in some way, that's the best way about doing that. So this can be used in a number of different ways. One of the ways is actually applying it to our player itself, which would allow our AI not to be able to collide with our player completely, so we could keep it off at a distance, and also our player can actually push around the AI if we want. So if you're creating a game where maybe you don't want your player to get stuck within a group of AI that has a collision, you can use this to actually prevent that. So we can easily go down to Component, Navigation, and NavMesh Obstacle. Now, hopefully someone can, maybe someone who knows more about this than me, can tell me how you can adjust this to line up with the bottom. Maybe it's going from the center point or something, but I wasn't able to figure out how to adjust the height of this. I know in here you can adjust the height, but it just goes up higher. It doesn't adjust where the bottom is to the bottom of the object. So if anybody knows a solution for that, maybe it's just because I'm using an older version and that's just a bug, but maybe someone knows. But yeah, so we can set up that, and we can set up 1 for the radius. And also, we're going to add this to somewhere else. So we'll go down to my block prefab and actually go to navigation and add a obstacle. Actually, no, I already had it applied. Okay, so if you if you don't have it there, just apply it if you're using some other object. And I'll be showing you the different ways that this can work. So if we go in game, you can see that our AI stops from a little bit of a distance now. We'll actually increase that just a little bit more just so we can see the full effect. So we can change this to 3 or something like that, just so we can tell how far away. Now if you see, our AI actually stays at a distance now. And if we move, we can actually push this AI around. So if you're making a game with like hordes of zombies or something like that, and they're all grouped up around you, you can run and push them out of the way or something like that if you don't want them to actually get the player trapped in a certain area. And now I'm about to show you in a second the other type of avoidance. So all these boxes were actually updated with the NavMesh obstacle as well, and our AI should be able to move around it in real time. Unlike the baked ones that don't move around and are static objects, these ones are ones that are constantly being moved around and placed in different areas, and we want our AI to actually be able to avoid it in real time. So if we walk and go behind the block, you can actually see our AI figuring a path around these objects. So it should be able to just walk around any of these objects. So if you have a very confusing setup, so let's say you were creating some kind of maze or something, and doors like opened and closed or something like that, and you had to use different paths to get to the player or have the AI get to the player, you can use this tool for doing that. Or like what I have here with a bunch of boxes that are actually randomly scattered around. I guess it does have a couple of errors for getting stuck, but I mean, this is probably the best that you're going to get with that. Sometimes it's probably not always going to work, but for the most part, it should work pretty well. I believe just because I have the obstacles collision set very wide that it might not go around each one, or they're very close in proximity. But like I said, this is an older version of Unity, so I'm guessing they updated a lot of different things for that, so that the AI is a little bit more smart when it comes to that. You could also probably add in some more code for it to find a different path if it can't find a path after a certain amount of time. But if you don't have randomly generated objects like this that have a chance of not allowing the enemy to walk through, and you just have, pillars placed all over the place and they have enough room, the enemy AI should not get caught on any of that stuff. So this is a basic way of using NavMesh obstacles to add a little more to your game for how the AI is pathing and whatnot. So also, if I wanted to, I could have these blocks animated and moving around in a certain pattern, and our AI would avoid those as well and move around, and they would get pushed around as well, I believe. So yeah, that's just the basics of NavMesh obstacles, and hopefully you guys can implement something cool into your game.